Welcome back to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. And our first guest today is George Gentilis, a somatic psychotherapist, and today he's here talking to us about spirituality and staying present. Welcome, George.
Thank you for having me back. Yeah, so living in the present and your spiritual self, spirituality, big topic, very important, because like we've done in the previous segments, once you learn how to heal, you release anxieties, you release depression, release all these reactions, who are you in the end? I mean, what's left over? You can live a fulfilling life, you can reach your goals better, but what you'll probably discover is that who you really are is a formless, timeless being in a body. And you're not your thoughts. You're not really your thinking. So we've got that intellect brain that separates us from the animal kingdom that I've talked about in the past. It's great for planning, great for memorizing. We can plan ahead things, but it also gets in the way if we begin to realise that we get lost in the fact that that's what we are. And if you get too lost in your thinking, people will actually say, I feel lost, or I've lost my passion for life, I don't know why I'm here, or I don't know what I really want to do, or you lose sight of goals. But as you heal those things, then you start to realise who you really are, and you're actually not the thoughts in your head. You have thoughts in your head, obviously, and it's a tool. We've got past thoughts, which are memories of what just happened. There's future thoughts of what might happen. And if you overlive in the future, then you just tend to worry a lot, like I talked about in anxiety. Or if you live too much in the past, stuck in the previous thoughts, you'll have a lot of guilt, and depression sets in because, all this weight of the past, and because you're living through the thoughts. But really, you're not your thoughts. You're actually the person choosing the thoughts. And when you realise that, then you get present, and you start to live in reality, which is just this moment. So if you think about it, this moment is always now. It can never not be now. It's now again, it's now again. If I ask the question, is it now? The answer will always be yes. So is it now? Yeah. Is it now? Yeah. Is it now? It's now again. It's now again. It's now again. It's always now. In other words, it's now forever. And your conscious thinking brain can't handle that, because your conscious brain is used to living through memories and putting a length to the present moment. But really the present moment has no length, it's just now. It's now again, it's now again, here you are, here I am. Well, reality is just this present moment, and it's always now. But why do we think that it has a length? Because we've got our intellect which slots and creates time. And that's great, like I said, it's a great tool, we need it. But it stops us from remembering who we really are. So you've got to spend time in your day, each day. At some point, we stop, connect to the universe, connect to yourself, other people, and realise that you're one being of millions of beings, and you're just connected to the whole universe. And it's very powerful. So really, your success in life isn't determined with effort, the doing. Yes, you've got to do that. Your success is really determined is how you do that doing, the quality of that doing in this present moment now, which is your being. Your being must come first, the doing comes second. And who is the being? The aware you that lives in this body, that gets to choose which thought to have. When you can't choose the thought, that's when you're stuck in anxiety or depression or reactions or traumas or negative belief patterns that limit you. But really, you're not a limited person. You are a peaceful, loving, joyous, free and healthy human being, perfect in every way. You're that right now, this moment. That's there within you. But it gets covered up with traumas and anxieties and worries about the future, and going off into all these thought forms in your head, when really you can actually step back and realise who's actually choosing those thoughts, and it's the aware you, it's the real you. And when you get more in touch with that, and which is why it's important to do that every day, to stop, take a few minutes, do a little mindfulness meditation and switch that thinking brain off and realise you're not those thoughts. Then you start to get in touch with your heart, with the real you start to come home to your body, the real home, which takes you wherever you want to go. You can travel the world and you're always home because you're in your body. You have people who go looking for themselves in other countries and realise their problems are there again, and they just recreate them because they haven't come home to themselves first and opened up to their heart first. And that's when you start to discover what you really love to do, rather than the world telling you externally, this is what you should be doing for money, or do this job or that job, you can earn more. But what do you really love to do? Find what you really love to do, find a way to earn a living from it, and that's the ultimate fulfillment. When you're running your life, you're totally in control. You should be.
So for our viewers, George, how can people feel more fulfilled?
Yeah, more fulfilled. Well, the best thing you can do is to do some mindfulness meditation, to actually close your eyes, go into your body and embody yourself. And mindfulness is a weird word because you don't want to be in your mind, you actually want to be in your whole body. So you want to be more bodyful, more body mindfulness. So it's bodyfulness, if you want to call it, embodying into your body, coming home, as I said before, into your body, feeling the sensations in your body. And the best way to do that is to notice the sensations in your body. And the number one is your breathing. We breathe in our chest, we breathe in our belly. To notice if you're breathing just in your chest or your belly, and notice as it expands and contracts, it just follow that sensation in your body, which is the lower brain, which takes your focus off the intellect. So all that mind chatter can slow down, switch off. And anytime you go back into your head and your mind takes over and you're off thinking about dinner tonight or whatever, the best question you can ask yourself is, what's happening in my body now? And start scanning down your body. Notice left and right side. There'll be a difference because we're muscle-wise symmetrical, and you'll notice a difference. So if I notice it now, my awareness has gone straight to my feet, and in my ankles I can feel my right one tingling, my left one isn't. That's just got me out of my head, just for a brief second. So if you do that more often, you start to become more embodied, more present in the moment, and if you connect with nature, often because nature's very still, they're very present, they don't have an intellect to go off and over worry about things that may never happen. And also the universe, out the stars at night, to realise how you're part of this enormous universe out there that we hardly know about yet, and that you're equal to any being in the universe, and you are, you definitely are. And as you get present in the moment, don't think as much, only use the thoughts when you need them. Then you come alive, heart opens up, start doing what you love doing, and you get less distracted by all that avalanche of marketing out in the world, and start to live a more fulfilled life. So,
thank you, George. It's been wonderful to hear all about these amazing topics you've shared. And for more information on George and spirituality and able to stay in the present, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after the break we welcome back Robin O'Connell, funeral celebrant, talking to us about supporting families through pregnancy and loss. Welcome back. Now we have Robin O'Connell, our funeral celebrant, and talking to us today about supporting families through pregnancy and loss. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
And Robin, may I ask you, what led you to be interested in this subject?
So my daughter died 40 years ago. She was nearly 10 months old, and I found that people just didn't know what to do with me. They'd cross the street rather than talk to me. They'd avoid talking about her, or I'd become the supporting person and support them when I told them the bad news. So it led me to a path of grief education, and then finally a funeral celebrant 17 years ago.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And then, so what would be we hear the term stillbirth and miscarriage. What would be the correct term to use?
So it depends how far the gestation is. So under 20 weeks is classed as a miscarriage, and over 20 weeks is classed as a stillbirth. And the reason for that is that over 20 weeks the birth is registered, They can either go for a funeral or a burial or just have a direct cremation, but something must be done with the baby at that point in time. And there's lots of support out there. There's a foundation now that will help families that are in crisis, because we're not expecting a baby to die. So often families can be left unaware with that as well. So there is support around for families who have any sort of pregnancy loss. But I think one of the main things is that people don't know how to handle people when they've had a pregnancy loss. And we have that, what they call, you know, that 12-week rule, where families are said, don't tell anyone till you're 3 months, and that way then, you know, you don't kind of like if anything goes wrong. But in actual fact, those parents need support. If they've been longing for that baby and they're 2 months pregnant, they want to tell the world. And there's this big thing about, oh no, wait till 3 months because you never know what happens. 1 in 4 pregnancies in Australia ends. So it's common. And when people have experienced it and they start telling people about it, they suddenly find that there are all these other people who've had that experience but never said anything. They've never shared that experience because it wasn't talked about. And we need to start the conversation. And lots of people are trying to do that. You might have noticed on October the 15th, this year and in a few previous years, there are pink and blue things that go up on buildings. So in different states, there were different buildings all over Australia that were lit up in pink and blue for Pregnancy Infant Loss Day, which is an international day. For people to feel free that even if they're only 6 weeks pregnant, that they can share that joy with others, even if it doesn't go right. Because at least then they're acknowledged that, you know, people are reluctant to even say, oh, I actually had a miscarriage at 6 weeks, but, you know, it was only 6 weeks. But to them, that was a baby. I know a family who had 11 pregnancy losses, and every one of those pregnancies, no matter how soon as they got those 2 little lines, as soon as they got those lines, they wanted to shout it to the world, because it's important to them that their babies are recognised.
Well, for both parents, I suppose, particularly women with the hormones racing, that's a loss no matter what goes on, and and then the men would be feeling it as supporters of the.
And I think that's where we let them down all the time, because we always say, so how's the wife doing? And we don't say, how are you doing? How do you feel about this? It was your baby too. But they think because the wife is the one who is pregnant, that that's the one who's going to be feeling it more. And it's 2 people decide to have a baby. And it's really important that dads are recognised as well.
And I suppose for in same-sex marriages, it plays out as well. There's the other partner is still feeling that.
Yes, yes. And it's, you know, people don't go off and say, oh, I think I'll have a baby and I'll go home and tell my husband tomorrow. You know, they talk about it, they plan, they have dreams, they have hopes for that baby. And those dreams and hopes are shattered. So we need to do more as a society to be able to say, you know, it's okay to talk about it. You know, if you know the day that the baby was born, you know, remember it, put it in your diary for next year. Give the person a call and say, hey, how are you doing today? I know today was the day that Noah was born. You know, it's real, those little things mean so much. And often we're thinking them. You know, so I met up with a family member who I hadn't seen for many, many years, and she put her hand on me and she said, you know, I think of you every 7th of August, which would have been Rebecca's birthday. And I thought, that's fantastic, but I would have loved to have known that you did that. I only found out like 20 years later that every year she thinks of her, and that would have meant so much to me.
Oh, absolutely. So then, what would you say is a take-home message for our viewers to know how they can support others?
Oh, the most important thing is you are not alone. And I think that's the hardest part, is that isolation of thinking you're so alone, it's only you, maybe 40 of your closest family that are affected by a pregnancy loss or an infant loss. and it's not a very broad spectrum of people. And people hear about it. That, you know, might mention it to somebody that you work with, and they'll go, "Oh, that's sad." But it's a fleeting thought, and then they go on with their lives where your life has been irreversibly changed.
Those people don't know how to have the discussion, really, do they?
No, and we need to be more comfortable with having that discussion. We need to ask the questions of, you know, what were you looking forward to? What were the things that you wanted to happen? So they get a chance to voice them because they've been in their head.
And Robin, what would be some tips for our viewers from today?
Remember them at Christmas. So have a candle on the table, do something like that. Remember them on birthdays, give people a call. Just be able to be with them and let them talk and say, how do you feel? And then say, but how do you really feel? Because we will naturally say, I'm okay. But just ask how they really feel. And you might just be surprised at their answer. Don't worry if it brings tears. The tears were there anyway. All you've done is to help release them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we'll go to break now. But before break, just for any more information on pregnancy and loss and supporting those people experiencing that, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and there'll be more information on Robin. After the break, we'll be back with Petros, who's here today to talk to us about healthy eating, and he has a demonstration for us. And now we have something completely different. Petros Politis is joining us today, who's a chef, and he's here today talking to us about healthy eating, and he's going to show us a vegan salad dressing. Welcome, Petros.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah. So what sort of ingredients are you working with today?
Look, I source ingredients from all over Victoria. So Kuru Rubber's all the asparagus is grown for in Australia. All we've done today to this asparagus is just roast it at about 180 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. Just gets nice and golden and beautiful. The dressing we're going to do for it is something super simple and easy. It's a multi-purpose dressing for me. We use it for dressing a salad. We use it for, you know, a little spoon over some barbecued or grilled meats. You know, it's really super conventional. You can even toss a salad with it as well, you know, over some lettuce leaves. It's just a really good alternative to pesto. So it's no nuts and no cheese, so it's completely vegan.
Okay.
But we've just got some basil here. I'm going to tear off some parsley, the whole bunch. Straight in there. I've got some garlic, some chili, and I'm just going to zest a lemon in here as well. So all I'm doing here, I'm just going to top and tail, I suppose, the lemon, and I'm going to sort of segment on the outside. I'm going to try and not have as much as this pith, because that's what actually makes it bitter. The less work you give your machine to do, the faster your dressing is going to come up. And ultimately, whenever you're blending herbs like this, you don't want to have obstruction when you're blending. You don't want to have, you know, if I put this whole lemon in here like this, it'll take too long to blend. So when you're dealing with herbs, you want to blend as fast as possible. So what that means is, yes, we're going to use a food processor, but we're only going to blend for about 30 seconds. So I'm going to get about 250 mils of oil in here, and I'm just going to blend it, and that's it. So now that the dressing's done, that just takes sometimes 20 to 30 seconds. As I said, from this stage, we can put it into a container or a salad dressing bottle and leave it in the fridge. It keeps up to a week. But for now, I just want to develop some flavor into this asparagus salad. The darkened asparagus from roasting the vegetables is really nice, but I'm trying to juxtapose some color here with the dressing and the blood orange and the fennel that I want to incorporate. All I'm doing here is just dressing a little bit of apple cider vinegar. It's just a little quick pickle. Again, I'm going for some acidity because all we've put on the asparagus is some chopped thyme. So chopped thyme and some olive oil into the oven. So I'm just going to leave this here for a few moments and let it like naturally break it down a little bit. It won't be too much because we're using fennel. I really want some citrus on this. So as much as the acidity from the apple cider vinegar is really good, I feel as if the citrus from blood oranges is something that's, one, colourful, and it's going to increase some colour onto the plate, but it's going to give us a different type. So I'm going to just do a little bit of blood orange zest over the top. And the same way as I did with the lemons, I'm just going to remove the pith and do like slices. But the reality is, if you just had, if we just approached it a little bit differently with our salads, that's something that we've always done.
Beautiful colour in the blood orange,
It is,
isn't
right?
it?
And again, if you don't have any blood oranges, you can just use a navel orange or a grapefruit if you want. Like, it's whatever, a little bit of everything in here. And we're just building the salad. And now the fennel has done its work. The apple cider vinegar has done its work on the fennel. It's nice and acidic, and it hasn't broken it down completely. It hasn't deteriorated. But the fennel now has a different level of acidity. So as much as you've got sweet and acidic oranges, you're now going to have some beautiful, sweet, fresh fennel. Again, we're playing this game. I like to work on textures as much as I can. Excite the palate when we eat as much as possible. So I'm even going to incorporate some pumpkin seeds over the top. And again, like you mentioned before, for the vegan contingent of the world can eat nuts and pumpkin seeds, and that's fine. But again, I wanted texture now to finish our dish with now. The dressing here, I said it's really loose. It doesn't really change its consistency much when you keep it in the fridge overnight or whatever. Just a little over the top.
Wow.
And as I said, this is really good on roasted and grilled meats off the barbecue or out of the oven. So it's super easy. You can make that any time. As I said, this keeps at least a week in the fridge.
Thank you, Petros, for sharing. It looks and smells absolutely divine. And for more information on Petros and healthy eating, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And for now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you back here next week.